The Huawei Mate 9 Pro and the LG V20. Hello everyone, Ray here. Today we've got two phones with a dual camera module setup, which is the king in the larger screen or phablet category. Let's find out. First of all, the design. We are talking a low-profile, single-lens like dual-lens module design on the Mate 9 Pro, which makes it one of the most elegant phones with two cameras and a metal unibody. On the other hand, we've got a unique design on the V20, which makes you stand out from the crowd, but not necessarily in a good way. With a massive 5.7 inches display on the V20 and an extra secondary screen, the V20 is huge. One is beautiful and one is not so beautiful, but other than just being good looking, we have to give LG some applause for making a 7.6mm thin smartphone with removable battery, a microSD card slot and a metal back cover. It's the only mainstream flagship to do so in this day and age. Build quality, however, the V20 is not comparable to the Mate 9 Pro. The display panels like glued on the top of the chassis, even the color and the width of the upper part and the chins not matching the rest of the device. If we take a look at the Mate 9 Pro, what a gorgeous phone with excellent build quality. We are getting brushed aluminum texture on the back with a glossy finish on top. It feels like glass, smooth but not slippery. The dual curve screen on the front and a general curve on the back. On a 7.5mm thin chassis, is absolutely skinny and is actually one of the slimmest phones I've held. And it's a unibody, generally it feels and looks more like a mature product than the V20. Hardware-wise, both LG and Huawei kept the IR blaster for easier remote control. Both of them packs a USB Type-C port with USB on-the-go support. The fingerprint sensor, however, the Mate 9 Pro simply blows the V20 away. And surprisingly, Huawei has given the Mate 9 Pro a decent microphone with stereo voice recording capability. And yes, I'm now recording on the Mate 9 Pro. The LG V20, however, still the king in terms of the quality of the microphones. It's got native support for 24-bit 192kHz stereo recording in FLAC format. And yes, I'm now speaking to the left channel on the V20 and to the right one. The Mate 9 Pro's also got an HTC 10 or iPhone 7 like dual speaker setup, compared to the single downfiring one on the V20. So overall, the Mate 9 Pro does have a better design, with an appealing appearance and top-notch build quality. The V20, though, is the only mainstream flagship that gives you a removable battery. Dual camera, bokeh, monochrome, or ultra-wide-angle photography suits your style. I'd say the Mate 9 Pro targets consumers who treasure Leica. Those bokeh effect, monochrome, and light painting stuffs are for people who are into photography. If you are into that, the Mate 9 Pro does it better than all other phones. However, the V20 targets travelers or mainstream consumers who are looking for practicality. The ultra-wide-angle lens is superb. It packs so much more objects into the frame. Now it's what you are normally getting on other smartphones. Boom! 120 degrees super wide-angle lens on the V20. Impressive. Just in case if you are really into photography, both the V20 and the Mate 9 Pro spec'd with one of the most sophisticated and features-packed manual mode. The manual video mode on the V20, however, is on another level, only if you shoot professional videos with a smartphone. Back on the manual modes for stills, we are getting peaking focus on the V20. And it's a full manual mode. We have to adjust both the shutter speed and the ISO according to the exposure reading the phone's given to us, which is kind of confusing for average users. On the Mate 9 Pro, however, we can have something like a semi-auto or manual mode. We can keep the same shutter speed all the way through and let the phone captures images with the right level of ISO. It's much more user-friendly. Image quality though, not much difference in the broad daylight. Details are sharp, however we are getting vivid colors from the Mate 9 Pro, with a warmer white balance, compared to the less pronounced colors and the cooler white balance on the V20. But that's it. Low light performance in the meantime. The Mate 9 Pro gives significantly smoother images with less digital noise. The images captured with the V20 looks a bit dull yet grainy. Video stabilization on the Mate 9 Pros also slightly better than the V20s. So the Mate 9 Pro shoots better images and videos, but the V20 captures much more objects than you can imagine. Performance and features. Both the Mate 9 Pro and the V20 is Android 7.0 based out of the box, so they are getting the latest and greatest Android experience, including the expandable notification panel, and oh yes, multi-window. Speaking of multitasking, the V20 even supports Q-Slide apps, which is basically floating windows. It only supports 7 system apps, unfortunately. Motion and hand gestures in the meantime. The V20's got double tap to wake and sleep, knockout as well, which the Mate 9 Pro lacks. While the navigation bar on the V20 can be hidden with a simple setting inside the settings menu, which makes the 5.7 inches display even more massive. The knuckle drawing feature on the Mate 9 Pro remains exclusive to Huawei users. You can get a partial screen capture with a single touch, or fire up apps like C for camera, M for music, or E for browser with alphabets drawn with your knuckles. And a single swipe, boom, multi-window. Always on display is also here, borrowed from Samsung. Speaking of always on display, the V20's got a secondary screen. It does make app switching or notification preview a little bit more convenient, but it would be unfair for us to compare two screens to one, so let's move on to the performance. Both of them packs the latest and greatest hardware, and both of them delivers flagship experience, while the V20 is lagging behind in terms of smoothness and responsiveness. No matter if I open a 3D game, or apps like Facebook, YouTube or Google Maps, it suffers from the minor delays between I initially touch the app and it actually pops up. Everything on the Mate 9 Pro, however, is instant. According to the standard apps opening speed test, the Mate 9 Pro is the fastest Android phone we can buy right now. In the second round of the test, the 4GB of RAM-backed V20 still manages to keep all the apps running on the background. But again, we are getting a much smoother experience on the Mate 9 Pro with 6GB of RAM. So they are features packed, running the latest version of Android, but the Mate 9 Pro certainly edges out the V20 in the performance. Multimedia experience. We are getting 2K Quad HD displays on both the V20 and the Mate 9 Pro. However, the AMOLED screen on the Mate 9 Pro definitely pops out a little bit more, with adjustable white balance. Speaking of white balance, the V20's got a greenish tint. The camera actually adjusted itself to suit the greenish tint on the V20. The Mate 9 Pro in reality has actually got a much more pleasing white balance, instead of the red one here. The dual speaker setup on the Mate 9 Pro also delivers better audio quality than the V20's downfiring one. It's not as balanced as the iPhone 7 or the HTC 10, but it's better than nothing. Audio quality via the headphone jack, however, is where the V20 shines. The quad deck's amazing. It delivers terrific clarity and soundstage. Bass is strong, but not covering the mids and the highs. Everything are defined, and it's breathtaking for a smartphone. The Mate 9 Pro in the meantime performs closer to mainstream flagships, like the Pixel and the S7, without dedicated DAC chips. Last but certainly not least, the 4000 mAh battery on the Mate 9 Pro is ridiculous, considering it's even slimmer and smaller than the Note 7. Or it's still working completely fine for being here more than a month, so it should be alright. And it's actually the phone with the longest battery life, while the V20 gives the longest battery life for phones with IPS displays. Other than lasting longer than you will probably need, the 22.5W super fast charging on the Mate 9 Pro is also insane, compared to the 18W Quick Charge 3.0 on the V20. But again, it charges up from 0 to 100% within minutes. The Huawei Mate 9 Pro, or the LG V20, is not an easy decision to make. The Mate 9 Pro's got a flashy, eye-catchy design with top-notch build quality, while the V20's kept the flexibility for users to replace the battery or insert a microSD card on an unbelievably skinny chassis. The Mate 9 Pro captures more vibrant images with less noise, while the V20 is a no-brainer for travelers. They are both features-packed, but the Mate 9 Pro edges out the V20 with a smoother user interface. It also packs a spectacular dual-curve display, or an AMOLED one, and a kind of dual speaker setup, while the V20 fights back with a quad deck and a larger display. Which is the better pick? Comments below. There we have it, the Huawei Mate 9 Pro versus the LG V20. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video and like it if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. Once again, this is Ray, see you next time.